Welcome back to the Knowledge Broker podcast. I'm Joshua Campbell, and joining me as always is Trish Wiswick.
Wiswick?
Rizwick.
Withwick.
Rizwick.
Rizwick. Well, hello everybody. I am Trish Withwick, and I am joining Joshua Campbell.
Joshua.
So Josh, are you excited about our episode this week?
Always.
Okay, good, because I think we have a really good one. I know I say that every week, but
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it is again picking up a little bit what you said last week. There was something that you said that really hit a spot with me because I think it was a perfect way to segue into this episode. So today we're talking about choosing your audience. And one thing that you said last week was that it doesn't cost a lot to market to one person. And I thought this was really significant because when you are starting to market your company and your business, a lot of people might be under the impression you have to reach, a mass. You have to reach 5,000 people right out of the gate, which in my opinion, I don't think is entirely true. So I wanted to ask, why do you think it is smart to market small when you're starting a business?
I believe that there's a commonality amongst all humans, and I don't think that there's that much difference between a lot of people. So if you want to hit 5,000 people, you don't do it by targeting 5,000 people. You do it by targeting one, maybe to five. And if you target 1 to 5, chances are there's a lot of people that have a lot of commonalities with other people. So I'd say if you want to, you have to start small in the sense that it's easier to communicate with one person, and chances are that one person has many people that are very similar to them. So it's a lot easier to focus on one, figure who that one customer is, or your client, or your audience, whatever it may be, and then work backwards from that, because I guarantee it'll pick up scalability, but you got to start small.
Yeah, and I was also thinking that there's also more emotion, I feel, that's behind targeting one person rather than, let's say 5,000. When you've got one person you're talking to, you can kind of reach them on more of a personal level. So there's more emotion behind the product you're selling or the service that you're selling as well.
100%. Whenever you watch a really good marketing, or you see it, or you feel it, it's because you feel like they're talking to you. So no different. I think that when major organizations are thinking about marketing, they're thinking about that one person. They're not thinking about the 1 million across the country that they want to target. They're talking about one, and then they try to make a message that communicate with one, and then it's probably likely in the demographic that they're looking for.
Yeah, and that one can spark, your 5,000. That
Sure.
one person is like a ripple effect, You introduce one person to your service or your product, and it just keeps expanding.
Yeah.
There was a really great quote I also saw today that I just wanted to get your quick opinion on. Trying to mass market a message is like calling 10,000 people at the same time.
Yeah, sounds impossible.
Right? And also it's so hard for your voice to be heard, which I thought was also kind of, I saw that and my mind just blew because I was like, that is so true.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being on a conference call with 10,000 people and you're trying to sell your service?
No, but I can picture it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like having like a 3 or 4 way conversation, and you got to cut in and cut out. It's impossible.
Yeah. And it's not, again, there's no emotion behind that. There's no connection to it. How can you connect with anybody if you're trying to appeal to everybody?
Yeah. I take the same type of approach when it comes to meeting people. I do a lot of networking, go to a lot of events. I meet lots of new people. And some people will go into a room. I've seen this been done. It's hilarious. They'll literally hand out their business card to 100 people. And they'll walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Jim. Hi, I'm Jim. Hi, I'm Jim." To 100 people, drop off the card and keep going.
Even if they don't have any connection with the
None.
person or maybe a business relationship.
100% none. And I've been the person on the other end going, "Thanks, Jim." And then usually the card goes in the pocket, but often goes in the garbage. And then I'll try and have one good conversation with one quality person and get to know one person, because ultimately you might get something from it. No different than marketing. Talk to one. People want to feel like they're being communicated with, especially us.
Yeah.
It's the way we want to be communicated with.
I also find that, and maybe you agree or disagree, sometimes when you market to one person, it might not specifically hit you 100%, but even if it hits you 70%, 80%, I do still feel like there's an emotional connection with me to the product, even if it, again, isn't 100% me that they're portraying.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think that the marketing is probably meant to only get you for 70%.
Yeah.
If I think that getting 100 would be impossible, because if it's 100 of you, then it might actually be limited to others.
Oh, big time.
So they probably consider a score. I don't even know what, maybe 60, 70, 80% strikes a chord with you. And then maybe the other 20 to 30% is almost left up to the imagination, because it might be something that doesn't strike with you, but maybe something you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that you might not be. Oh, okay. No, this ties into something that I want to talk about later,
All right.
because I thought I was a genius when I came up with this
Okay.
later. Okay. So yeah. So going back to it, this episode is about finding, defining, and marketing our audience. So I kind of want to work through those 3 steps today. So how do you find your audience? For me, I think that a really good way to find your audience is to ask yourself some questions. So I'm going to tell you the questions, and again, feel free to jump in whenever and put your input in. So the first one would be, what is the age of my audience? So what is my demographic range? What is the gender of my audience? Are they male, female, both? Also, where are they located? Are they in the city? Are they in the suburbs? Are they in the country? Those are different locations, and that could mean a bunch of different marketing strategies.
Sure.
What is the financial position of my audience? How much money are they making yearly? Can they afford my product? Should I market to people who can afford to buy, a new car every year? Or should I be marketing myself to someone who is buying a used car or something? What is our business statement? Who is our competition, and how do they operate business? What do our clients gain from signing with us? Is there anything out of there that really stood out to you that...
Yeah, there's a saying that I like, just literally, I don't think it's a tagline, but maybe it is. It was called "Provide knowledge, create understanding," and
That's our tagline, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, one of them, I guess.
Yeah.
And I look at it in the sense that I was talking with someone about this earlier, in regards to who the demographic is that we work with the most, and I like to think it's somewhere that's they have similarities with yourself, because then it's natural. Also, I find that when it comes to like provide knowledge, create understanding, I like people that want the knowledge, that want to know more about something than, I guess, the cover. And those people usually are higher service oriented people, want usually better quality. They want to understand how something's made. They want to know what's actually going into it, like what's actually the components of it.
Like, what's the process?
Sure. Everything that's the gears and the mindset that I'm going after, which I like. So realistically, when it comes to, I've lost thought of the question.
Any of those questions stood out to you? Of the
It would be
client?
What was the last part? The very last question.
What do our clients gain from signing with us?
I think they gain that in the insight.
Yeah.
The insight of what I was just talking about in regards to, that was where I was going. The insight of the knowledge side. People that do want these things are the people that I'll line up with.
Yeah.
Because I'll send it out. Because often you send out what you want back. No different than probably a lot of large marketing companies. You think about Nike and probably Adidas and all these sports companies. They're sending out lifestyle ideas.
Yeah.
Fit, healthy-minded, people that care about their bodies, people that want high quality, and then all of a sudden they get that people back. Yeah.
Absolutely. And out of those questions I asked, are there any others that you think would be good to, ask yourself when creating your perfect client?
On a demographic side, I like looking at demographics, which is great for like age brackets and whatnot. But I feel like my client is often the same person. It's just that they're 30, and then it's the same person, but they're 40, and it's the same person, but they're 50 and 60 and so on. So I feel like I am targeting the same person. And then the age doesn't really matter as much.
Okay.
When you think about someone that does want quality and does want the knowledge and does want to have the experience, the expertise, the list goes on, it's usually the same person from the age of 30 all the way up to 60.
Yeah.
There's some tweaks and some changes as people get older as to what's important. Young often want to have their excitement be flourished, and they want to have their fears squashed because those usually run high at the same time.
Yeah.
As you get older, the fears are smaller because people have done it, but they're still there. and they also want to have everything be arranged for them to the degree that it makes life easy. So it's the same person, just a different degree in life.
So for our business, real estate, demographic doesn't always, correspond to what our process or what our service is. But there are some businesses that demographic would be much more important than others, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, often the demographic is around your age, but as a business owner, but I feel like I've worked with people from 20 years old to 90 years old in estates and whatnot. And I treat everybody the exact same way, with a bit tailored towards themselves, whatever their lifestyle is. I feel like in the end, owning a house and the responsibility that goes with it and the knowledge you want from it, they're very similar across the board.
Yeah.
So demographic, it matters as to what your I guess your mode of communication is, but often the message is very similar.
But like, for example, like Nike, they would be messaging, to their 15-year-old fans versus their 45-year-old fans a lot differently, because they're in different points of their lives, and they have different needs and wants.
Yeah.
So
But the general is still the general.
Yes.
They're still looking for fit,
They're still looking for
quality, someone that wants to be associated with a brand, a clean looking brand, all these different things that go with it.
Yeah.
They associate, like, even the colors that they use. We talked about this before. And we think about these companies, we still take the exact same hat. They didn't create the marketing world. The marketing world is very much created by the people.
Yeah.
So it's just figure out what people want and then putting together a package that meets their needs.
So, okay, so then there we go. So we've got kind of a definition of something that, of what our our target audience would be. So, something that I asked Josh to prepare something. I'll let you all know. I kind of wanted us to break down those questions that I asked and put it into like a sentence, like, so a definition, so to speak. And again, everyone at home listening, I encourage you to ask yourself those same questions and then put them into this kind of format of a sentence. So now that you have your target audience, define it. So place your company name, helps, this gender, this age, include your business statement, by, and what do your clients gain? So I did it myself. And I said something along the lines of, knowledge broker helps men and women ages 30 to 65 enjoy the experience of buying and selling their property by educating, enlightening, and simplifying the real estate process. And so I wanted to hear what yours was too.
I would probably take very similar. But what we've done with knowledge broker is we've tailored each segment. So we've taken people that are first-time home buyers, second-time home buyers, third to like downsizers, to like lifestyle. And I would take the exact same sentence, limit down the age, I guess the variation that you've given there, 30 to 65. I would suggest that knowledge broker helps the first time home buyer and complete. Helps the first time move upper and complete that. And then the downsizer and the lifestyle. I'd probably add one more customization in there that would make people feel attached to it, like they're communicating to them, so like it's communicating to them.
Okay, so great. So now we've got a definition.
Okay.
So the next part I want to move on to is, how do you market your target audience? So I'm really glad you brought up what our kind of different demographic ages are, because they play into this next bit. So I find that when you're marketing your target audience, you need to focus on the audience's needs, wants, and motivations. So when it comes to what you were discussing, which is almost like an avatar, we've created avatars to fit the clients that are in different places in their lives. I definitely think that goes into a motivation category, because what we're trying to do is detect what their fears are, what their ambitions are, what their growth opportunities are, or just kind of what point are they in their life. So I think this is something that we've recently implemented into Knowledge Broker, and it's something that I think is such a cool thing that we've done. And I definitely encourage other people to do that. So I wanted you to kind of go into more detail about how our avatars are sparking things in us to see what our clients' motivations are.
Yeah. To tell everybody at home what we've been doing, we've created the avatars for different segments, as you said.
Yeah.
We then, when we communicate our messages, and we communicate, that could be print, social, video, in person, even speech, you name it, even in the interviewing side, when you interview or clients interview with you, the trick is to make sure that it's customized to them, which selling a house, buying a house, very similar for all ages.
Mm-hmm.
You buy the house, you sell the house. We want to make the buying side as easy and as fun as possible. We want to make the selling side as easy and fun as possible. Get the most money possible on the sell side.
Mm-hmm.
Try and get it for the best deal possible on the buy side. The game doesn't change too much on the age.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at what we're doing with our avatars, we then look over our shoulder on the wall and look at the avatars that we have that we realize are our clients.
Yeah.
We didn't create these.
Mm-hmm.
And literally looked at the clients that we have across the board, and we were able to put together our clients from first-time homebuyers. This is what they look like because that's who our clients have been.
Yeah.
And then we have the next segment, the next segment. And then when we go to communicate and we go to create some kind of a message, as I said, we look and say, would they like this message? Would this communicate to them?
Mm-hmm.
If it does, check mark, move forward. If it doesn't, X, stop.
Mm-hmm. And that ties into kind of what their needs are as well, because the avatars and their motivations is a really great starting place, especially if, like for us, we can use a lot of past client examples. Mm-hmm. But if you're just getting into this business and you don't really know who your future clients are, mm-hmm. it's really cool to go through those questions, identifying those key things, and then start looking into those demographics, those ages, those genders, looking at your competitors and seeing how you want to do better than them. Because by doing that, you'll be able to create these avatars. You'll be able to create these people. And the funny thing is, I'm obviously not saying you're going to create like a cartoon character, like a dream person or something, because nobody's perfect. But what we were saying earlier is that you might hit someone at 80%. You might hit someone at 70%. Mm-hmm. And that's just based on doing a lot of research into figuring out what those answers to your questions are.
Yeah.
And like I said, this plays now into the needs. So
when we say needs, I'd probably challenge that and say it's fears.
Okay.
Wants are the aspirations,
yes.
the cherry on top. Mm-hmm. Those are the wants. I feel like the needs are are often the fears that people need to have suppressed or dealt with or answered in order to move forward. So I feel like needs are necessities.
Yeah.
Which are people are scared that they're not going to get the same amount of space. People are scared that their kids aren't going to be going to the best schools. People are scared that they're spending money for no reason. Mm-hmm. They're moving laterally. Those are like the needs are like, okay, we need more space. We need to have good schools. Because they often, on the flip side of the need, is just the fear that they're not going to get those needs met. Mm-hmm. So I'd say if you can work with fears, and you communicate the fear and you provide the solution, then you have connectivity.
Yeah. So the fears, I definitely agree. I think the fears do feed into a lot of exactly what you're saying, the needs of the client. And so that's why when you are creating things for your audience, it's really important that you do a lot of material and lots of marketing towards things that aren't just your company, aren't just your business. To give you all of our listeners an example, when we create things, this podcast is a fantastic example. Mm-hmm. We're not coming on this podcast every single week and saying, this is what the real estate market is doing. This is what your home is worth. This is like not all just real estate.
Yep.
Also, we're not going on being like, Joshua Campbell, your new real estate broker. We're not doing like just the typical real estate stuff. We're trying to reach out to our market audience and try to say, are you interested about, interior design? So when we create blogs and stuff, we'll do, interior designs, fears of being a first-time home buyer, fears of moving to a new town, things that people might be asking those questions, and they're not just real estate. So I find a really good thing is to kind of central your product, central your service, and say, okay, I love what I do and I love talking about it, but what are the needs and the fears of my target audience? Mm-hmm. And how can I create content that appeals to those needs and those fears? Mm-hmm. Agree, disagree?
Agreed. Appeals that they would find valuable. Mm-hmm. If the reality is people want to have value. It brings me back to this idea. I don't. I believe in marketing that provides value. Meaning like we provide newsletters for our clients every quarter that tells them what's going on in the marketplace, gives them some updates on some events that we're throwing, talks about usually we have a blog piece in there that we find was probably the most influential online. We provide it to people in print. I feel like that's of value. People look at it, they're informed, they feel like they're involved, and then they're part of a community.
Yeah.
When we do our posts, almost always we send out posts with valuable information, with knowledge that allows them to be more empowered. When we look at the other standard types of marketing, there's a lot of people that go out there and get billboards. I've never seen a billboard provide value.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time convincing myself of spending money on a billboard when I'm not a big fan of billboards myself, but I can't look at them and say they provide value. You cannot really communicate a message within a billboard and have them go home and go, damn, I learned something, or wow, that really helped me out.
Yeah.
So when we take our message, communicating it in a valuable way is key.
And communicating in a way that not only attracts our current clientele, but potential clientele that also looks like that clientele.
Sure.
Okay, the last one. Now, this is the one that I came up with and I was really, really excited about. And so this kind of feeds into the wants and exactly what she said about the wants, where it's the people who, those are their desires almost. Those are their goals in a way. Sure. So another really cool thing that I was thinking about targeting wise and marketing, market yourself to people who are on the cusp of, you know, your demographic, or your gender, or not on your gender, but your age, you know, they're on the cusp of being your target audience, because those are the people that might not sign up or buy something that week, that month, but those might be the people that you're now pushing towards your brand and they'll have a longevity with. You know, they're the kind of people that might say, I can't afford this right now, or I'm not in the right, I don't need that right now, but as soon as I do need that, I want that. And it kind of sticks with them. So I wanted to hear what you thought about that, because I thought that was a really interesting thing for even me, looking at some products being like, I don't need that now, but when I do need it, I 100% want it.
Yeah, it's interesting how you use the word push. And I find push, it doesn't resonate with me.
Okay.
I feel like, and if marketing is push, I'm not as big of a fan of the word marketing either, I guess. It's a reality that this is what we do within reason. I would suggest that when we provide information, content, valuable content, is it called marketing? I guess it is, by definition. But if it's more of a value offering, where you give something of value, you'd be surprised how often the information we give is usually people go, oh, I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. But then as soon as they need it, you're the one they remember.
Yeah.
So the purpose to like marketing or offering value is that you're not asking. Yeah. You're offering value, offering value, offering value. And eventually someone's going to pick it up and say, I want the value now, or I need it now. If you go the other way and you just ask and ask and ask and ask and ask, people feel like they're being used. You're not even offering value. It's almost...
it takes the emotion out of it.
Sure it does. There's no connection. People don't feel like they're working with somebody that is like them, or they have a community sense. It's more, you're just looking for someone that's looking for another transaction. So if you're in transactional business, which we've talked about before, which is hunting, often in transactional, people don't have the support system or the process behind it to be able to support doing business with them again in the future.
Yeah.
Often transactional people do business with everybody once, and they're looking for a new client every single day because they don't have the support to back it up and to do it in a cyclical fashion that they can have a client for life.
Yeah.
I've never lost a client for life, literally. First house to last house. That's the solution. If you lose somewhere in between, it better be because they moved out of town. Because if you lose them in between, you did something wrong.
Yeah. And I always, this, what you were just talking about really makes me think of like, for example, like a gym membership. You know, I worked at a gym once upon a time, and the culture was very much call this person, text this person. Like they came in, obviously they want it, they want to come work out. Even if, kind of what I was saying, they were on the cusp of what we were offering, but they weren't there yet. And I think that because at the time we weren't offering value, like we were saying, I guess in a way we were pushing them. And
Sure.
you're right, it's not a great word to go
Well,
with.
push is transactional.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
you want to, exactly what you're saying, you want to add value. You don't want to push them towards you. You want to show them why, this will be a great opportunity. And I find with a lot of like I said, gyms, for example, a lot of them do that. As soon as they get your phone number, they are on you. They are like calling you nightly. They're texting you. They're emailing you. And it's like, you're providing me nothing. All you're providing me is, $100 a month I have to spend to go to this gym that I may or may not want to.
Yep.
But
it'd be the difference. You just said it as push versus pull. If you're pulling people towards you, you're attracting them.
Yeah.
If you're pushing them, you're forcing them to do something they may not be ready to do.
Yeah. I'm glad you saw it. You corrected me, because I do think that it is really important to tweak little things as we go along.
Sure.
Now that we're going to wrap up a little bit here, but the last thing I wanted to ask is, how do you maintain a clear trajectory of what your target audience needs, wants, and is motivated by?
The way that we do it here, and if you keep it in your head, you're going to be out of luck. Rewrite it down consistently.
Okay.
So I have forms that we use for every single client, and after I've met with a client, I'll come home or back to the office and write down themes. Themes about their strengths, themes about their fears, themes about what they're looking for, opportunities. And then before you know it, if you literally look at different parts of the segments of like our marketing segments, there's themes across the board. And then before you know it, you can actually almost identify that person as an avatar, as we call them.
Yeah.
So my trick is to come home and write it down. Come back, write it down, everything you know about the client, instead of keeping it up here. Because if we keep it up here, then we don't know what to create for value.
Yeah.
So come back, figure out what their fears were, strengths were, and then all of a sudden you tailor your marketing conversation towards those. And then before you know it, they appreciate it, they value it, and then they call you when the time is right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you're growing with your audience in a way.
Yeah.
Because as soon as, that's actually brilliant, because it's like because obviously our audience changes all the time. Like no one's going to stay the same forever.
No.
Every decade, people go through a massive change.
Every year.
Right? Every year.
Sure.
So that's a really cool tool to use. Is just once you meet a new client, take down some of their, some of the things that you identified from them, and then use that to target the next person that's like them.
Not even target, or just learn from them.
Okay.
It's people don't realize what goes in behind the scenes. A lot of people think that it's marketing is not created to push information at people. It's looking and listening to them and then giving them what they want. I mean, it seems more, it's actually probably a lot nicer than the flip side, which seems more targeted, we'll say.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't want to feel like they have a target on them. People want to feel like there's someone with their arms wide open waiting for them. Yeah.
I like that. I'd also like to just add that I think another couple good ways to maintain your trajectory with your clients' wants, needs, and desires or motivations is send out surveys. I know we've done it a couple times. Send out surveys and get feedback, because or interact with your people on social media. Just see, get personal with people. Ask, if you had a really good client that you were like, hey, do you mind if I just ask you a quick question? Just have some feedback that way. And I find that even that is a really useful tool to maintaining.
100%. Even for yourself, I feel like asking people, even at the below messages, and asking them if they like the information or if they have any questions. This is the learning opportunities for people to be able to interact with us. So you're 100% on the spot.
Yeah,
there.
It's like you're extending the olive branch.
Yeah, exactly, and allowing them to choose their own adventure by interacting with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I think that is where we're going to end the podcast today. Thank you, Josh, so much for your insights. I think this was definitely the most beneficial episode so far for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I learned a lot. So thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. And it was really neat to talk about like the way that words can really mean something, the way that people say them, or what we mean by them. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I want all of our viewers at home to even think about too is, even just the way that you're targeting your audience with your words. It's crazy.
When we started out the podcast, I felt a bit awkward because I was like, where is she going with this on the demographic? But you definitely have to think about it because otherwise you're literally going after this huge web of people.
Absolutely.
So,
and definitely the other thing I just want all of our viewers to keep in mind too is that you're going to have to tailor some things to suit your needs. Obviously, what works for us is not going to work for you. So definitely take what we're saying, but see where you need to alter. Like for us, we can alter demographic because demographic doesn't really suit our target audience needs.
Not as much, no.
Exactly.
Right.
So anyway, that is it for the podcast today. Like always, you guys can leave your comments in the comment sections below. Text us or not text us, but email us any of your comments or your questions. And until next Tuesday, I'm Trish.
I'm Josh.
Have a great week.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you very much for stopping by our channel. If you have any questions or if you're looking to buy or sell, go to our website and contact us today. Knowledge is power and creates experts in understanding. If you want power, hit thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our channel so you can get weekly videos from me, your knowledge world.